It's not worth it now. It's not. But the price is so high. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. At some point, we're going to ask people to start paying us in crypto.
And we should put a QR code up and say, pay us.
Yeah, pay us in crypto, man. Like,
but before we beg for money, let's produce good content. How's it?
Exactly.
How are you doing? My name is Regardt, with me is Neo as always. How are you doing, sir?
I'm alright, and you? How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. Glad we're finally getting some hands-on time with this Ryzen 7 that we've been speaking about, this next-gen AMD. We spoke about it in our first episode.
Yes.
You finally got your hands on this beast. Please do us a beautiful intro because I don't really know much about it. I lost sight of AMD technology back in the Athlon days.
Okay, then.
Long ago.
Let's talk about the important bit. So as you know, this is not AMD's first Ryzen. We had the first generation Ryzen and we had the second generation, which was oddly enough, Ryzen 3000. Okay, so now it's third generation, but it's Ryzen 5000. So those numbers don't necessarily correlate with what the SKU number actually is. Having said that, so for the first time with Ryzen, with the third generation Ryzen, AMD has managed to take the gaming performance crown from Intel. It's something that's taken over 10 years to achieve because let's not forget, since mid-2006 up until the introduction of this CPU or this generation of CPUs, Intel had the performance crown when it came to gaming. So it was the 10900K, with the 9900K and all the things that they had before. But finally, AMD has done it and here we are with the fastest gaming CPU money can buy.
That's quite a pretty impressive claim. We should call the video that. What does this thing go for?
So you're looking at under 10K. I think you should be able to get it for about 9,300, which is a little bit more than what AMD used to charge before. But then again, if you have the fastest in the market, you can charge whatever it is that you want to be charging.
No, I mean, for me, I've been out of the CPU race for a while. I used to love AMD, like I said, but now I'm a Core i5 user. I love my Core i5. I think with a lot of power for video editing that I'm doing on my desktop. I do have a Core i7 on my notebook, my Alienware notebook. But what would be the benefit for me of upgrading to something like this? I mean, obviously not keeping in mind that you have to upgrade your motherboard and stuff, but from a CPU processor performance point of view, what would that give me over a Intel equivalent?
Well, if you're coming from a Core i5, the most obvious upgrade for you would be the Ryzen 5, also third generation, but it has slightly fewer cores. It has 2 fewer cores than this one because this is a 5800, so you would be looking at a 5600X. And what that would give you is better power consumption because the TDP for a 5600X, this one's baby brother, is only 65 watts. So that 65 watts is going to lead to better power consumption than what you're currently using right now with your Core i5. Okay. And you're also going to get better gaming performance with it.
PCI Express.
Because of the PCI Express 4.0, it's the new generation, and because of IPC, which is instructions per clock, right? It's much better than what Intel has right now on AMD's side.
What is that down to, the extra cores?
It comes down to just processor design, how they've designed it. They've actually made sure that it's so much more efficient at issuing instructions, decoding instructions, and all sorts of things. And it has massive levels of memory as well, which is cache, essentially, on the CPU. So that aids in performance as well. And it's also manufactured on a much superior, process than what Intel is using right now. So this is based on 7 nanometer process, whereas Intel's latest CPUs are based on a 14 nanometer process. What that means is that power performance is better per watt, performance is better per millimeter because it's a smaller manufacturing node. That's part of the reason why you get the performance gains.
Didn't Intel say that they couldn't get you under 10?
Yes.
Who said that? Somebody said famously they couldn't break 10 nanometers.
Nanometers. So they are able to get some processors, but not in volume, at least not for desktop. So there are mobile parts, 11th generation mobile Intel CPUs on Ultrabooks, which are available right now.
Power performance.
Yes. So those are 10 nanometer CPUs. However, for the desktop, we never got those. And we're not even sure if we're ever going to get 10 nanometer from Intel right now. They might just jump over to 7 nanometer because of the delay. Either way, before all of that happens, this is what we have right now, which has the best performance that money can buy for gaming at the very least.
Nice. Now you got me intrigued already. Now, one of the benefits, obviously, with the new AMD system, is that power performance. You said, what would you compare that? What would you compare a high power consumption CPU to? Like, if this runs at, you said 60 watts, right?
So yeah, the 5600X would be 65 watts. That's it's
okay.
TDP. It's rated at 65
And
watts.
this one?
This one's rated at 105 watts.
So what would be a high-end power consumption comparative?
Okay, so let's go with Intel. So with Intel, with the 10900K, you are actually looking at 125 watts.
Interesting. Yeah, so it's
quite a bit. It's quite a bit more on that side. However, there is something that allows the Intel CPUs to draw up to 250 watts when they really need to. So power consumption can get quite high, which is something that you don't actually have to worry about here. In fact, I can tell you it's impossible to get a power consumption figure of 250 watts on this unless you're doing extreme overclocking or anything of that kind. But just using it in your gaming, in your productivity applications and so forth, you are hardly ever going to draw that sort of power.
And another benefit is you don't have to upgrade your power supply unit.
Yes, there's no upgrading of power supply. And again, because it's AMD, AMD has kept the same socket for all the generations of Ryzen CPUs. So from the first generation up until this third generation now, it's always been the same socket and almost motherboard compatibility. However, with this latest generation, you actually need a 400 series motherboard or a 500 series motherboard, like this one that we have here.
And yeah, talking about that, good segue. I mean, so this obviously needs something beautiful to run, and you brought us this beautiful thing.
Yes, so this is the ROG Strix B550E Gaming, a motherboard that I'm currently reviewing and whose review I will have up later this week. So please check it out.
Link in the description. You better get that thing up quick.
Of course. So this is a fantastic motherboard that you can pair up with any of the Ryzen CPUs, whether it's the 5950X, which is the range-topping 16-core CPU, or the one that we have here, which is the 5800X. Whichever CPU you decide to go with, this would be a perfect pairing for that. Not only is this motherboard affordable, but it has incredible performance. And in fact, I've recorded the highest memory performance on this motherboard that I ever have on any AMD system.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yes, so I'm really moved by this motherboard and I think it's pretty awesome. And it looks fantastic, right? It actually looks fantastic.
I've always had a soft spot for motherboards, and I love, I love how they look and seeing how the motherboard manufacturers have really improved things. Covering a lot more of the motherboard, for example, with metal and lined and RGB.
Oh, definitely. RGB has come a long way. We no longer have this situation where it's a unicorn that's thrown up on the motherboard. Now it's actually something that's designed and
you can control.
Some care. And you can control. In fact, this motherboard also allows you, if you have supporting memory, like this Corsair memory, not this particular SKU, but the RGB SKU, you can actually change the colors on the memory using the motherboard software, and you can have everything sync up, including this cooler here. So if you have Corsair memory, you have this Corsair cooler. So this is the H100i Elite Caplix. It's the latest one.
One or two generations before this one. These things are fantastic. And for anybody that doesn't know, it's basically an enclosed radiator. So it's a water cooling system. It's enclosed. You don't have to worry about water levels or anything to do with liquid. You just install this and they work at sharp. So tell us a little bit about this one. I mean, what makes this one?
So this is the latest one. So as you can see, the colors are really bright here. They're using a new LED. So the colors come out bright and you don't get any of that wash, that off-white and
they're also beautiful.
I know. So the pump is also new, also using the new LEDs. And for the first time, Corsair is using a single cable from the pump head to the control box. Before you used to have a ton of cables, but now you just have one cable and you control all the colors, all the power and everything.
Cables also overrated. Why don't you just go wireless power already?
One day we'll get there. But until then, this is probably Corsair's most elegant solution to AIOs, and I'm definitely loving this cooler. So check out this review as well at a later point. Wonderful, wonderful cooler. This.
Link not yet in the description below.
Yes.
All right, so this is a pretty high-tech system. The only thing that's missing, of course, is AMD's graphics card.
Yes, unfortunately. We had supply issues with the RTX 3000 from NVIDIA. Nobody could get them. And then till AMD said, hold my beer. Now, you cannot get that VGA card anywhere, but they are worth waiting for. And I think next year things should improve and The performance that AMD has shown with their latest 6000 series graphics card is absolutely phenomenal. In fact, it's better than I would have ever hoped it would be. They've literally brought the fight to NVIDIA and have actually, for all intents and purposes, have actually outshined NVIDIA's best offerings with this latest generation. So AMD is firing on essentially all cylinders. Great graphics cards and great CPUs.
So the brand war is on again. Who's got the best
definitely.
setup, right? Obviously with AMD, if you buy into their system, you get the components to work together. It makes sense. They're not locking you out. It's not like an Apple where they lock you out from using what you want to use. But they give you that performance benefit if all the parts come together. I'm very excited. Like for the first time, I'm looking back at AMD as a potential upgrade. I mean, based on what you're telling me, performance versus power, because power has always been a big thing. If I look at upgrading motherboard and things, it's amazing what you can do with a high-end graphics card, 3080, for example, and some upgraded specs. But damn, power supplies aren't cheap when they go into the 1,000 watt ranges.
Exactly. So the cool thing about AMD's latest RX 6000 series of graphics cards is that they're actually power efficient. In fact, for the first time, they are more power efficient than what NVIDIA is offering. So we have great power efficiency from their CPUs and also from their GPUs. And if you put all of that together in an AMD platform, you are literally looking at probably the fastest gaming experience you can get. Okay, so that's something worth considering.
better than a PlayStation 5, of course.
It's a lot more expensive than the PlayStation 5, but talking about PlayStation 5, it's AMD in there as well.
True. Yeah. True,
so PlayStation 5
so
is
obviously
also
they bet on this technology. So I mean, this is an impressive system for PC gamers wanting to upgrade.
Yeah.
I mean, what would be the cost of a CPU cooler combination that you would normally want to go for an upgrade?
So depending, if you're a PC gamer, you're obviously looking at the premium gaming experience. If you're not looking for that, just go with a console. It's going to be much cheaper.
Well, there are some of us who like the mid-range experience. Don't cut it out.
Oh, okay.
I hear what you're saying. But I mean, what does the CPU cost? What is the cost of this? Is it an expensive upgrade?
So for this 5800X, you're looking at 9,300 or something of the sort. But again, you don't have to go with the 5800X. You can go with the Core i5 equivalent, which is the Ryzen 5 5600X, and that's going to cost you a lot less. I think that can be had for less than 8,000. Probably under 7,000 perhaps.
You see, again, for a PC gamer upgrading, the path you spend more, but you spend batches of money over a period of time, right?
Of course.
Things in steps. This motherboard, is it available in South Africa yet?
Yes, so this is available in South Africa. I think the price that I had from Wootware was 5,899, which is a very fair price given what this motherboard has. We're talking Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, USB 3, PCI Express 4, M.2. There's everything. There's essentially nothing on this motherboard that you would need that is on any other motherboard. Outside of extreme overclocking, all the features you might want in a premium motherboard are on this one.
Great stuff. Well, I think we've kind of settled it in a way. AMD is the way to go. If you're looking to upgrade, that is where you should be looking.
Definitely.
At least it should be your first option and to explore. I think you've sold me in terms of performance. The performance power benefit, I think, is very important.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, let's be honest. I'm not going to be upgrading anything anytime soon. Damn, things are getting expensive. But I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see AMD back in the race.
Oh yes,
giving Intel some shtick.
Yes. So we'll see next year. So Q1 next year sees Intel release the 11th generation for desktop. So they are hoping to take back the performance crown. Also with an 8-core CPU. We'll see how that fares. But for right now, AMD rules the roost. Nice. I like to hear that. Well, if anybody has anything to say other than that, please do leave a comment below. What's your thoughts on the setup? I think AMD, we're going to have this conversation. Where do you spend your money? Do you spend your money on consoles going forward? Do you spend your money on components? I'm certainly, really whatever floats your boat. But I'm a big fan of computers still. Like just looking at this hardware again. I mean, my PC is on my desk. I look at it every day. But, smelling that new motherboard, it makes it. I remember why I upgraded. Bluetooth on the motherboard, that's a pretty big thing. I haven't tested a motherboard with Bluetooth on. I actually need to buy a dongle now for something I'm testing just to have that functionality. Yeah,
I like this.
It's just been given to you on this motherboard, and the cool thing now is you can game wirelessly with your controller.
Well, that's obviously one of the big benefits of that, right?
Exactly.
I mean, having that capability.
So if you have a Bluetooth headset that you like to use with your iPhone or whatever phone that your premium headset or earbuds, you can use them for your gaming as well, because Bluetooth, right? So you can share a lot of your hardware and peripherals.
Yeah, no, obviously you have to have everything. I mean, it's integrated technology. I just have one question in closing for you. One. We're going to cut off right after that.
Okay.
Does it run Crysis?
Of course it runs Crysis. Yeah.
Nice. Well, there you have it. I mean, a machine that can do it all. Thank you so much, Neo. The reviews for all of these will be on the Overclocker very soon, so please go check out the website. Does fantastic work. I mean, have you broken any records recently on the site?
Oh, competitive overclocking, those days are long behind me now.
You don't do much of that anymore.
Now I just like tinkering just for fun. I actually overclock to get performance that suits me for my needs. Okay. So I'm looking at stable overclocks rather than just competitive overclocking. But I still do it. All my rigs run overclocked. But they're also actually more power efficient as well. Just
yeah, I mean, motherboards
tinkering.
these days come out with a functionality, like you said before. You said last time we spoke about this actually. The functionality for overclocking is so good on the motherboards. You don't need to go into bar settings like we used to.
No, not as much, eh?
Change. I mean, the menus are looking better. They tell you overclock button, yes.
Yes.
No, right? Yes or
you
no.
have those options, right? So it's a great time to be in PC gaming, being an enthusiast and so forth. And for the extreme overclockers, you still got all the tuning abilities and all of those things. In fact, AMD is really good with supporting overclocking for the extreme crowd. So you still get all of that. But if you don't want to do any of that, it's a simple one-button configuration and you'll pretty much get the best.
Nice. I also like this. And we actually didn't mention this earlier, but for streamers, I mean, this type of performance is becoming so important.
Yes.
A lot of power streamers use two machines to stream because one can't handle
exactly
encoding a stream and a game at the same time efficiently. But this type of setup will be able to do it if you have,
definitely
the high-end AMD graphics card or even the GeForce 3080, 3090.
Oh, it would definitely be able to do that. If you pair your 5800X with any of the new GPUs, you'll definitely be able to do that on a single system, in fact.
Fantastic. Well, I think on that note, Neo, thank you so much for your time again.
Thank you,
Ryzen. For the next one.
Yeah.
And thanks you for watching.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back very soon with some more awesome tech to talk about on The Best in Tech.
Peace.